We wanted to discuss, and I know it's something I spend a lot of time with, and we've discussed it before a few times, and I don't think Antoine and Adam are massive mobile phone fans
No.
because I remember once asking them the question, will mobile phone games ever replace them? And they were adamant that it would never happen. Mobile phone games are for light fun. But I managed to persuade them with my return to discuss mobile phone games and a variety of topics. I think because there's a lot to discuss when it comes to mobile phone games. As a side note, the real reason I'm back is because if I leave Adam and Antoine alone, they get us warnings on our YouTube account. So
That
now
is
I'm
true.
here to monitor and make sure that they don't get us banned.
We need a babysitter. That's right.
I managed to persuade them with my return to discuss mobile phone games and a variety of topics. I think because there's a lot to discuss when it comes to mobile phone games, not just the whole freemium universe, but just how things have evolved, where we've come from. Because you have to think it's relatively newish market when you think about sort of the evolution of the app store and the creation of this huge the App Store, the Android, the Google Play Store, really, when you think about it, and what's moved over. And again, we've also talked about things like last week where we talked about Crazy Taxi and even Grand Theft Auto and Worms and all of these games now, these classic games that you can also play on your mobile phone. So it's interesting how it's developed in a variety of ways. And with Diablo coming out and Warhammer had a game as well that it just fits all purposes. But go on, you guys want to slander it? I can see by your faces and your, no, not in my time. I'm a middle-aged gamer.
I will gladly confess that I'm an old man and I want these young children with their phones to get off my lawn.
And I will try to open my mind. They said a couple of things. First of all, as you said, there is for all taste. And in a previous podcast, I talked about Professor Layton, which gets remastered on mobile rather than other platforms. So I can play this on mobile, which is good in a way because I think I'm the same as Adam in the fact that this is my phone and the screen is small and I hate, I'm not that young anymore and my sight is not what it used to be, so I don't like to play on small screen. And that's why I actually, we'll talk about, I get BlueStack during this video, but I didn't know that it existed, emulator, if you will, that you can play on your big screen. And now that I discovered that, like, that will really bring my interest for mobile game way more, because now the Professor Layton that I tried on my mobile and I was like, that's really small, I have to read all of this in small screen, so annoying. On my big screen, that's way more interesting all of a sudden. So listen, I'm trying to get my mind open to mobile gaming. Also, in the news last week, Adam was saying Apple is making tons of money out of mobile gaming.
Yeah.
That much, that actually much more than PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo with mobile gaming, which took us a bit by surprise. But when you think about it, mobile gaming is a big stuff nowadays. So
A lot more microtransactions there too, though. So there you go, eating, I think, because I think that was part of the whole Epic thing, was they wanted their own store so that they could make, all the money from those microtransactions. Whereas on Apple, everything has to be done through the Apple Store. So they're going to take 30% of everything that you do on there. So they're definitely taking a lot more in that regard. Whereas, I mean, I'm assuming on consoles, if you're buying stuff in the games, because that was one of the big things that PlayStation didn't really seem to want to play with crossplay. That was one of their big things that they ended up working out with Fortnite and whatnot, was that they were saying Fortnite was predominantly played. I think it was Fortnite but whatever game they were referencing was predominantly played on the PS4. I think it was like 60% of the people were playing on PS4 or something like that. But they were saying that because you could buy stuff in game on other platforms, they were saying even though we're the ones who have to foot the bill for, servers and all that, people could just go on to their PCs or go on to their phones, buy things for this game, and we're not making any money off of it. We're just providing this, so we're doing most of the work, but we're not getting most of the profit. It turned out that most people were in fact buying things off of the PlayStation Store, but that was their concern. So I think, there's that kind of, with the Apple, I think it's kind of the same thing where they're like, oh, if people are playing these games on our phones, we want to be able to make money off of that. But now people are saying, I want to just buy stuff directly from the store. I don't want to have to go through Apple or PlayStation. So.
I think there is huge money involved in these games. So when you think about it, because Lord of the Rings now, and before that I was playing Warhammer Chaos of Conquest, before that State of Survival, before that Vega Conflict, over maybe like the past 8 years, these type of mobile phone games, and the amount of people that are willing you see those pack prices go up to like $100. And then when you see that and you're like, oh my gosh. And then, people, I already know from Lord of the Rings and speaking to other people, there are folks on the first server that have been playing the beta maybe a couple of months that are sort of like $5,000 deep already into spending. And it probably, there's people even more that will gladly sort of like spend the same money as a car on these games. So there is definitely a lot of money. And when you think if Apple had taken a cut of that just for providing it, that's a ton of money from all these games that's just coming to them for very little work.
That's part of the reason why these games can work, is because they take the was it the Vegas strategy with the fish and the whales, and you get the whales that are spending just thousands of dollars on these games, and then they're the people that are funding these games, and then you get these little fish in, and they might spend a little bit, but probably not a lot. So like a casino, they're not making their money off of these little guys, playing on the tables and stuff. They're making, by the high rollers. That's where the casinos really make their money. It's the same thing with these games. You need the fish to make your game popular and have it populated, and then you need the whales to come in, spend a lot of money, and kind of dominate the playing field in a way, and then kind of fight amongst themselves. And you just have these little guys kind of squeezing their way in when they can. Have you put down any money on Lord of the Rings yet, or have you been doing entirely free?
Bits and bits. I bought like a $90 pack, which was mainly for a video I made, and I also got like the season pass and other bits and pieces. So I have invested, but I always say that I'm more than willing to spend some into a game, because if I download it's free and I'm playing it constantly through the month, then maybe I would have paid for 2 games during that time. And if I'm paying like $30, $40 times 2 for that period, then for me that's about right for the game time that I've got. So I don't really have an issue for that. And the longer that I play the game, I will continue to sort of like set aside, this is the amount of money that I would have paid for a game. This is the amount of money that I'm willing to spend. But I think Lord of the Rings is kind of a lot of people have credited it and give it a lot of praise from the fact that there are in-game systems like you can only control a certain amount of territory and tiles, and you kind of have to delete the tiles to then build more tiles, and it takes 30 minutes to demolish, and there's no way of speeding that up. You have a certain limited amount of barracks you can hold troops, and you can have there's another like control. Characters have like stamina, and the stamina goes down. You can buy things to increase their stamina, but it's like on a cooldown. You can only buy like one, so it's not just crazy. You can just keep buying infinite amounts. So there are ways that they control it so that the whales can spend and spend and spend and buy these super characters. Think of like Warcraft 3. So you kind of have the characters and they lead your troops, and you can choose like 3 different units, and they go in and they have a synergy. So you can go out and you can buy all these packs, you can get these good characters. But at the end of the day, if you come against other people and there's a couple of armies and they all come at you, then they're going to sort of like wear you down. So you have power as a whale, and you have like this pride that you have these good armies, but you're not invincible. And they're going to do like server merges between each groups each round. So you're going to get put against other people that are spending similar amounts to your group. So eventually people are just going to have to spend more, I think, or just play it free. I think it is they've done really well. They've done really well compared to other games that I've played. But how about you guys? Would you guys be willing to spend on a mobile game? What would be your budget? What do you think would be?
I'm going to let Antoine go first because he had a really strong reaction to that question.
It's really hard for me to answer. It's simply maybe I'm just too old. Just I'm very happy to pay for DLC on a game that I really like. For instance, take Tales of on PlayStation. I I would never actually do that, but imagine that I really like the game, and Berseria I really loved it. And it's very Japanese, but you have DLC on just changing the outfit of the character. It doesn't bring anything, it's just cosmetics. But see, I'm really into the game. Hey, I might do that simply because I really like the game, but it's entirely up to me. The issue I have with mobile phone is I understand it's free and they need people to spend in microtransaction to actually live, but I don't like spending when I feel that I'm forced. Like I'm playing and I don't have energy and I need to buy more energy to play. I'm forced. I It's a pay to win. If I don't pay, I don't have the good character, I don't have the good stats, I can't win. I can't take pleasure to the game. So if I want to enjoy the game, I'm forced to spend money. And that's what blocked me. The fact that I feel that I spend money and I'm forced to it, maybe it's just me, I'm very happy to spend like my kid play Roblox and he like to have Robux, when for his birthday or stuff like this. Fair enough, it's mostly cosmetics or stuff. But when it comes to me, I really don't like being forced to pay for stuff. I buy a game because I enjoy. I know it's very stupid, and I would pay $50 on Tales of, and maybe gameplay wise, time wise, maybe I play more of this mobile game. So maybe spending $50 on it would be absolutely worth it. And yet I have this, I don't know, psychological stop, which tells me no, don't do that. You have a risk of getting. Okay, I bought it once. I can buy it twice or thrice. And when does the addiction stop? So I just don't even want to start getting in there. Just, yeah, my point of view, and that's what really blocks me on mobile gaming.
What about the games where you could just pay them and have the game, like Crazy Taxi or Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, or Professor Layton, that works for me. Or a few years ago there was Pokemon Go, or you don't really have to pay anything. You just get out to get the dog out, and you can play at the same time, and that was great. And I have absolutely no issue with this kind of game, but I think it's called freemium, the one which are free, but you have to make it. Yeah, this business model, although I do understand it, it's just not for me. But if I have to pay $20 to get 3 Professor Layton in remastered, right away, take my money. I love the games and it's perfect, and I can play on BlueStack on my computer, big screen, good conditions, great for me, no problem.